Hey, welcome, insiders. Welcome to another session of Facebook Live VA Claims Insiders. You're home. You're an insider now. Happy to be here with my main man, fellow KC native, SBC Aaron Doherty. How you doing, brother?
Good. How about yourself, brother?
Good, good. Just trying to stay warm out here.
I hear you. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for spending time with us today. Before we get started with today's topic, go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what branch and what years you served. I'll go ahead and get everybody started. U.S. Navy, 2006 to 2009.
Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
I was going to say she's in Colorado, so I'm sure she's cold too.
Yeah. Feel free to throw your temperature in there. Hopefully someone's got it colder, so I feel better about myself.
Right. U.S. Army, 2008 to 2014. Thanks for joining us today, Ashley. Liberty, Missouri. Uh-oh.
Hey, there we go. We know that place, don't we, Aaron?
We sure do. It's old stomping grounds there, brother.
Yeah.
Right. USMC, Derek, 89 to 97. Thanks for joining us. I see Ashley says it is a freezing 31 degrees there.
Here we go. Public Affairs, 93 to 96. $73 to 79, Jerry. Thanks for showing up, brother.
Gary, 77 to 83. Welcome.
Seattle. I don't know if it's cold there or not. Does it get cold in Seattle?
I think it does. It rains. It's one of the few places I haven't been.
We got a lot of Marine vets today. Semper Fi. Hope you all are recovered from the Marine birthday.
A lot of Marines, a lot of Air Force.
Some of you just might be waking up for the first time since the Marine Corps birthday. I've seen a few.
I talked to a guy the other day. His birthday was like a couple of weeks before I talked to him, and I was like, "Happy belated birthday!" And he goes, "That's in another week." And I go, "No, your real birthday, not the Marine Corps one."
That's funny. Oklahoma, U.S. Navy CB, Vietnam, 70 to 78. Woo!
Welcome, Jerry. All right. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, U.S. Marine Corps. Welcome. Got Ken, 79 to 85.
Did they promote this Facebook Live at the Marine Corps Ball or something? We have a lot of Marines today.
We sure do.
Ken, 79 to 85.
Therese, Delaware. Thanks for joining us.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's not too far down the road from Kansas City.
Ronald, U.S. Army. Love it.
Yeah.
Everybody's calling in from all over today.
Yeah, it's too cold to go outside, so they might as well watch Facebook Live.
It's finally in the 50s where I am here in Austin, Texas. Gotta love it.
Ooh. Tyler, Texas.
There we go.
Texas people are kind of quiet in here. Did the Cowboys play this weekend? Is that why it's so quiet?
It's so cold, Donnie. We're not used to this cold, man. I didn't leave California to come to Texas for all this cold, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Lee in South Carolina. Right.
All right. It is 11:05. I think people will continue to filter in. Again, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Thank you for your service. Remember, we're just here to help spread information. That's what this is really about, getting you guys the information you need to help you get the ratings that you morally, ethically, and legally deserve. For those of you tuning in for the first time, we are an education-based coaching consulting company. You know, um, you become an elite member, you get assigned a coach who helps you figure all this out and walks you through the process. Um, if you're interested in that, every now and then we'll have the link drop down there. You can also sign up for a free 30-minute discovery call. Get on there with and talk to someone about what our program is like and what it has to offer. Um, Today we're going to be going over TBI. I'd explain to you what that is, but I have one. So, Aaron, what is a TBI?
Hey man, traumatic brain injury. I have one of those too. This is a subject that is very near and dear to, I think, both of our hearts here.
Sure, for sure. Um, so since we both have TBIs, we may or may not get through this subject today. I'm just kidding. We're going to get through it. We have lots of great information.
We sure do. And so just a little bit about ourselves really quick. Senior veteran coach Aaron Darty, U.S. Navy veteran. I was not an elite member, although I did use a for-profit company to help me with my claims many years ago to get to 100% P&T. And that's really what brought me to VACI. I used to work for the Vietnam Veterans of America organization. Once COVID hit and everybody closed down, being able to continue to assist veterans, I found VACI and have been here for a little over 2 years now and just love being able to continue assisting our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and that's what really this is about. Veterans helping veterans, helping you guys and gals get the rating you deserve. I'm a United States Army combat veteran from originally from Kansas City, and I got out of the Army and was a union boilermaker for a while. Went back, got an education, worked in higher education after that, assisting veterans with their benefits. I came to VACI as a coach and then a senior coach. Aaron and I came on around the same time together. I was surprised to find out that after all these years, even though he's not a local KC guy anymore, that we grew up in the same neighborhood. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, man. Old stomping grounds, rival high schools. It's just amazing to see how, big our veteran community can be, but also how small it can be as well. So that's what I love again about VACI, man.
Literally probably grew up 7 minutes away from each other. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Blows your mind.
It sure does. All right. So, is now that you've learned a little bit about us, let's talk about the program. So we'll go through our disclaimer. We are not accredited agents, VSOs, attorneys, or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, also known as the VA, and we are not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insider is an education-based coaching consulting company for disabled veterans exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits and who wish to learn more about that process. VA Claims Insider also connects veterans with vetted independent medical professionals in our referral network for medical examinations and independent medical opinions, also known as IMOs, for a wide range of disability conditions.
All right. And, traumatic brain injury is the single most complicated disability to rate or understand in the VA rating system. It really is. Like, there are raters who've been raters for years who, by and large, have a hard time or sometimes mess up on the rating system. And that's just because there's so much that goes into it that they have to evaluate and analyze. So that makes it even more important to empower yourself through knowledge and understanding of the TBI, right? The traumatic brain injury. So what our goal is today really is get you some sound basics, that you can use with this information. And you're most likely not going to walk away as a TBI knowledge expert after, just listening to one session, but it gives you the foundation to get the information, improve on your situation, hopefully get the rating that you morally, ethically, and legally deserve.
Donnie, you said something that's really interesting, even to me there, that, how complex the rating is for TBI. I mean, heck, even for myself, it's been hard for me personally to understand some of my TBI symptoms. And I've been dealing with it for, as I look at, this is 2022, 15 years now. And so, again, even for raters, it's complex for us as individuals to understand that and be able to speak to it with providers. And so, again, like you said, we're not going to be experts at the end of this conversation, not all of us here, but, being able to start learning about this and then being able to reach out, become an elite member, get the help that you need. If you are experiencing something like this and you're trying to get it service connected, you definitely want to reach out, either do one of the discovery calls, or you can go to VACI's website and sign up to be an elite member there.
When Aaron, you said something really important right there that, and Brian Reese, our founder, touches on this a lot. You don't understand all of your own symptoms that go on with TBI, and you don't really ever understand those things, but like completely, but you can understand a lot more and understand yourself and how to get better if you get your butt to the doctor. You got to go to the doctor. And claims are won and lost on medical evidence, period. So if you're not going to the doctor, you're not setting yourself up for a successful claim experience. But also, I know that through getting help with my TBI, and during that process, you learn what is associated with TBI, and then also independently the other things that may or may not be related to TBI, but can also get covered under the same rating system. And there are differences between some of the symptoms you experience that are from TBI and other things that are mental health. And if you haven't been seeking help, you don't always understand what those are or why some of your symptoms are so vastly different from someone else's symptoms who may or may not have a TBI. And a lot of stuff, just comes into play through getting help, getting treatment, and that creates medical evidence, a medical record, right? So that you have some weight to your claims. The VA likes to see someone who asserts they have a problem seeking help, because if you're not seeking help, then they feel like it's less likely that you have a problem, because they obviously don't understand veterans and how we don't try to get help for anything. But so that helps you cross that gap, and really you feel better about yourself and your symptoms when you understand more about them and why you are the way you are certain ways. When you say, Aaron?
I would. And, that's one thing that I learned over the years myself, was making sure that I was going into my TBI follow-up appointments. That way they could give me consults to any of the specialty clinics that I could utilize, just because of the symptoms that I didn't know that I was experiencing. And it's funny, every time I go into a TBI appointment, I always pull up the symptoms online to make sure that I know which ones to be talking about that I experience. Because, especially with my memory issues with TBI, it's hard for me to remember everything off the top of my head when a doctor's, rapid fire and asking me questions over and over again. So, heck, I even pull that up for myself to make sure that I'm going down the list and talking about everything appropriately. That way, again, they can treat me properly. I know for the longest time I wasn't in the TBI clinic. And once I did get in there, it opened my eyes to a lot of different things that I couldn't differentiate between my current mental health condition and my current traumatic brain injury. So, it's love that you remind everybody they got to get into treatment and get the care that they deserve for these conditions.
And you brought up another great point, right? So being able to determine and look at your symptoms and seeing, where they fall, and comparing that to the 38 CFR, the rating criteria for that. And that's really one of the great benefits of having a seasoned coach. Is they're going to understand these things and probably have been through the process before themselves. But that coach, they can help you understand how the CFR applies to your system, or to your situation. If you're interested in that, there's that link right there to reach out and have a coach connect with you. Really understanding the CFR and understanding your symptoms and then how they cross is a big part of your claim system. And that's something that you work through with a coach, talking about the rating criteria. A lot of people, they see that their TBI is often just lumped together with mental health. So the VA has what they call a prohibition of pyramiding, right? That means you cannot get a rating for the same symptom twice. And a large number of symptoms that are associated with TBI fall under mental health symptoms, but not all of them, actually. So mental health symptoms are only a third of the TBI symptoms. If you have symptoms that rate outside of that, it is possible to get two separate ratings. that is really something that you would dig through with an experienced coach. I think you know when I go through TBI stuff with a client, and their ratings get separated into two separate ratings, um, it's really because they weren't articulating things that they were experiencing, because they didn't realize that it that was in line with the TBI.
I've noticed that a lot too. It's like I said earlier, it's hard for me to differentiate between my symptoms of mental health and then my symptoms of the TBI. And so I think for us, being able to know exactly what it is that we're experiencing and then be able to articulate that properly to the provider, right? I mean, at VA Claims Insider, we preach strategy, education, and medical evidence. And so, like you said, Donnie, if you're not going to the doctor, you're not going to have that medical evidence that you need to then be able to support being able to separate these two conditions. And so, ensuring that we're going and getting the care that we need is going to be an ideal key here. Like you said, though, having an experienced coach, somebody that can help guide you through this process is also a huge key. One thing I love about VACI is all the blogs that we offer for our clients to help them learn and understand these types of conditions and the rating scales like that too. And so, the VACI blogs are a great resource for the clients as well.
For sure. So TBI is broken down into three specific categories on their rating system. There's cognitive conditions, physical conditions, and emotional and behavioral conditions. So even by the name of those, you can see how very easily that's crossing over to the mental health side, and how breaking those apart, understanding what correlates to mental health and what should be separate, it can be hard to do. Some of it can be very hard to do.
It can be, although, like I was saying, even myself looking through the VACI blog post, it's helped me then kind of separate these symptoms way easier than, right? Like you said, physical, cognitive, behavioral, and emotional symptoms. So there's a complete list under each subcategory there of what symptoms could potentially be attributed to each. And so for us as the veteran that's experiencing these conditions, being able to have that list, go into the doctor and talk about it is going to be ideal in terms of making sure that, again, you have the documentation that you need to be able to help separate the two conditions.
We have a question here. If I am TBI rated, how do I also get rated for mental health ratings, Gary? So again, like my friend Aaron said, get your butt to the doctor, right? So for every condition, you need a diagnosis, current diagnosis. A doctor has to say that there's something wrong with you. So getting it established that you do have a mental health condition, getting a diagnosis, and then it really helps if you get an independent mental health evaluation. Someone who is able to look at your records and give you a full evaluation and come up with a report, an independent medical opinion that is consistent with the style and format and language that the VA needs to use for a claims process. That's something that a coach will be able to identify as well. They look and see where you need to go and get the evidence from your doctor or this doctor, like what you need to establish that and help get pointed in the right direction. You know, it's hard to fill those gaps, those resources, if you don't know where to go. And that's being a resource expert is something the coach is great at, so they can get you lined out, point in the right direction, and tell you what tools to use to get seen and get seen in a timely manner. Maybe you don't know how the Community Care Act works and that you can get seen faster or by a better provider in your community, and your coach can help point you in that direction. There's a blog posted in there. Coach Aaron there was referring to our blogs are full of great resources. It's a good place to start, especially if you're thinking about getting a coach. Start getting there and see what information we have that's available. And I as a coach use these blogs to assist veterans along in the process. so that I can say, hey, look, here's some timely information. Let's go over this, and then let's make sure you understand this. Let's have a discussion about what you read and how you interpret that.
Yeah, that's a great resource. One other thing that I would say to a lot of veterans who are potentially on the fence about, filing a claim if they haven't done so ever before, Brian's got a ebook out that's called "You Deserve It." I'd recommend utilizing that resource too. There's a lot of good information in there for veterans that have never filed but also have filed that'll help them along the way, help them navigate this crazy system of VA benefits. And like you said, these VACI blog posts, that link that was just posted is an amazing resource. I definitely utilize these as a coach myself. Especially, just looking at this one for the TBI right now, there's physical, cognitive, behavioral symptoms where, again, a lot of the things that are under behavioral, emotional, and cognitive can potentially be symptoms that would be linked with a mental health condition. And then you'd see that the physical symptoms are not then. And so, this is again where being able to see these things and speak to them is where you're going to help build your medical evidence.
So how do you get service connected for a TBI? So in some ways, the connection is the same as other claims, right? You have to have the three elements of service connection, commonly referred to as the Kaluza triangle. That's the in-service event or stressor, right? Something had to happen in service. The current diagnosis that we talked about, and that's getting your butt to the doctor. And that's in real time, right? A big thing is you'll see that someone has it in their records that this happened, but they haven't been to the doctor. And if you don't go to the doctor and get a current diagnosis, something has to be wrong with you now, then they're not going to service connect you. And then lastly, you need the nexus. And the nexus usually comes in the form of a professional, a medical professional writing fancy language that connects the condition to your in-service event. And a lot of times you see veterans say, well, I have a nexus. And they'll just have one statement, right? It's like, I believe that this is at least as likely as not related to that. That's not a nexus letter. That's a nexus statement. And that argument is only as good as that one sentence until someone says, I disagree, because there's no rationale, there's no basis, no merit behind that decision or that statement. And a nexus letter done by a vetted professional will tie in, your records to peer reviewed research and former VA case decisions, case laws, and it ties all of that together to apply to your situation. And now you have a rationale, you have an argument, and that stands up. That's what gets you service connected. And it's really something that a coach is really great at identifying too. They say, hey, this is not a strong nexus. This is not what you're going to need to get service connected. And they help eliminate a lot of that frustration, help you get there. Again, if you're interested in talking to the coach, we'll throw the link up there. It's always great to have someone who's able to say, you know what, you're good to go, or you're not good to go.
And Donnie, one thing that you said that stuck out to me there was getting treated. When I sustained my TBI in service, I was so embarrassed to admit that I even got knocked unconscious that I didn't report it to medical initially when I went. It was after I was getting assessed at the VA when I finally got out that they were asking me, and I finally went, yes, this happened. And, of course, at that point, it was the hours of neurocognitive testing and things like that, the MRIs, CT scans of the brain to be able to verify if there'd been any brain damage and things like that. And so I would encourage anybody that believes that they may have sustained a TBI, if they haven't sought treatment, to go in and get that. That way, again, like you said, with the Kaluza triangle, we need a current diagnosis to be able to get service connected. And so I talk to a lot of veterans that say that they sustain TBIs, but there's no medical documentation of it. And the first thing I say is get your butt to the doctor, right? They're probably going to want to evaluate you. Be prepared for that.
Yeah, so you have the three different categories of the ratings for the rating system for the TBIs, right? For traumatic brain injury. And it doesn't really stop there because your brain controls everything, literally everything, you know. So just just what you see in the rating system is not by and large everything that can be related to TBI or how it's service connected or additional service connections. There are many conditions that are secondary conditions to traumatic brain injury that most people don't even realize, and they could get rated separately as well. I see a lot of times you'll see someone who has a TBI and they have you'll see in the records a lot of bladder or bowel function problems, and that is common. That's common with TBI. It's called neurologic bladder or neurologic bowel. You may have to pee all the time, or you might not be able to adequately control the stopping of that process or starting. And that's a secondary condition. There's a lot of secondary conditions related to traumatic brain injury, and they're hard to identify if you don't know that they're related. How would you know that getting hit on the head is gonna make it hard for you to pee? You don't know that.
Or make your ears ring or potentially give you headaches or migraines. There's lots of additional things there. I mean, I know with mine, Donnie, I have balance issues and things like that with my TBI. And so, again, there's all types of things that we may be dealing with that the doctor may not know about. To ensure that we're getting these things documented, we have to go into the doctor, have to start opening up, being uncomfortably vulnerable, letting them know about that. And when I always think about TBI, one of the things that I think about between TBI and PTSD is the rating scale, right? Or not even just PTSD, but mental health in general. The rating scales between the two are so similar. And I say that I see, Gary was asking if it had a max of 40%. TBI maxes out at 100%, just like mental health can. And again, it comes down to the severity of our symptoms. And so where I was saying I was embarrassed to admit the symptoms that I had or that I was even knocked unconscious, we have to go in and talk about these things to ensure that we're getting, like you said earlier, the true rating that we morally, legally, and ethically deserve.
Yeah, and Aaron, who cares more about your claim process than you?
Nobody.
Nobody, right? And at the end of the day, you have to be your own best advocate. Even with an amazing coach, you're still gonna have to self-advocate. That coach is gonna tell you how to do that. He's gonna tell you where to go, where to find those resources, and what tree to bark up. But you've got to do that. You've got to take that fight, and you've got to be willing to fight. That's one of the things we do. We encourage you to stand up for your rights, for your benefits. Just like Aaron said, you could get 2 separate 100% ratings for TBI. That's possible if the cards fell right. But you have to be out there getting seen, advocating for yourself, and making sure that you're getting your symptoms and your secondary conditions, all those things documented. And no one's going to work harder for that than you. However, having a seasoned coach can sure go a long way in helping you get through that process.
Donnie, it's funny you say that. I talked to a veteran the other day that had just won a claim, and he's like, "Congratulations, good job, Aaron." And I was like, "No, good job to you. Like, you're the one that did this." And he goes, "Man, you're the one that coached me through it, right? Without your knowledge." And that's what I love about this company, Donnie, is being able to share the knowledge and experience that we have as coaches with our clients. And so, this is where I'd say, there's a link in there now where you can sign up as an elite member. If you're on the fence about signing up as an elite member, you can sign up for one of the discovery calls and talk to one of our business development representatives to see if this is a good fit for you. That way, again, if you're lacking on benefits through the VA and you're potentially underrated, being able to link with the coach and help understand the process a little bit better is going to be a good key to getting the benefits that you deserve.
Yeah, and another great thing about this program is the community and camaraderie it builds. In our Zoom classes, the coffee with the coaches, that we have people that are in and out, that consider part. We're like a big family, and we're here to advocate and educate each other across the board. Our fellow clients help educate each other and motivate each other. It's really that sense of purpose and belonging that you you don't experience anywhere but with your fellow veterans. It's definitely a unique experience.
Definitely. And talking about community, Donnie, we do have a Spanish Facebook Live that's the first Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I just wanted to put that out there in the event that there were any Spanish speaking veterans out there that wanted to jump on one of the lives. First Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Absolutely, that's a great resource too. I jump in every now and then just to brush up on my Spanish, because my mind's not so great. But hey, uh, it's great it's a great place to see our other brothers and sisters. They need help too. We're here to provide all those resources. That we want to help everybody. No veteran left behind.
For sure. Donnie, while we continue to talk about TBI, there is something that I saw in the chat that I do want to address. Gary asked a question about, is there a cost for our help? There is a cost for the coaching fees. It is 6 times the monetary change in your benefits. So just want to put that out there. That information is readily available on our website. It's in the contract. If you went in there to sign that, you would see that. So again, there is a cost for our help, for our coaching fees. And so just want to put that out there, that is something that in the event that you need it, not all veterans may, but a lot of us do. I know I needed a for-profit company to help me get to 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And that being said, there's only a cost if you get an increase. There's only a cost if you get the rating that you deserve. Most of my clients, they're like, "Whoa, hey, so happy! Can't wait to give me that as an invoice. This is I've been waiting 30 years for this. I've been trying to navigate this process for so long. My only regret is that I didn't find VACI sooner. There's a lot of wasted years there, a lot of compensation and care and treatment I did not receive because I was not at the rating I should be at. And I remember my VSO saying, "Well, you're 70%. You should be happy with that." And I'm like, "I'm not. I have all these other problems that should be service connected." And I didn't take that no for an answer. I didn't take "you should be happy with what you have." No, I knew that I served and I deserved. So I went out, looked for help, resources elsewhere. And in hindsight, I was lucky because I, found VHI and landed on their doorstep first and didn't go to a bunch of other places. Because this is what I needed. This is the resources, the environment, and the motivation to help me get through. And when I signed up, they didn't say you should be happy with what you have. They said, "Let's go and get the rating you deserve."
Yeah, man. And, it's interesting because a lot of the clients that I talk to get frustrated after being denied. And I think back, man, I got denied 6, 7 times for my lower back condition. I got denied for multiple other conditions, and it wasn't my VSO that helped me get those things approved. It was somebody that was in the same space that we're in that's able to truly help us identify these areas that the VA has missed in the decisions, the areas of the Kaluza triangle that we were missing in the submission that we need to be able to fulfill to be able to get service connected. And that's where, even just a discovery call to understand what you may have been missing in the past, or getting linked up with a coach for the elite program to be able to talk to them about something that you may have been denied on, to be able to get that service connected now. That's what I love about VACI and the resources that we offer here.
Absolutely. Don Lombard, he's talking about, so some of those things that drop in hearing, the left ear, right ear, the eyes, that can all be secondary to TBI. So absolutely continue along that process and get evaluated whether or not you have a traumatic brain injury. Down the road, TBIs can create other problems, especially if you're not managing or looking out for those. Early onset dementia, Parkinson's, a whole host of issues. And so getting out in front of that, getting treatment and managing your symptoms is extremely important, especially as you age and things can get worse. You want to know what's going on. If you have TBI, and you get hospitalized due to your TBI symptoms like dementia or something like that, then you get a special monthly compensation that helps take care of you and your family and allows you to navigate that. The VA will compensate you more because they know the burdens that go along with some of those conditions that can be very severe as they relate to TBI.
And Don's question, it sparked something in me. I've got some vision issues that I never experienced prior in my life that I started having after my TBI. At the VA, I go, vision rehab specialist and things like that to be able to assist with some of these deficiencies that I have. And so, definitely, Don, if you're dealing with some stuff, I'd recommend reaching out and seeing what other options that they potentially have for you to help out with some of these deficiencies that you may be experiencing. And again, and I only say that just because of personal experience. I know that the VA's got a really good eye clinic, and they do have providers that are trained with TBI veterans.
Does an intent to file need to be submitted each and every year? Jerry, yes, and sometimes more. So every time you file a claim, a new claim on the 526 easy form, it's going to absorb that intent to file. So if you file a claim, a few days later, you're going to want to file a new intent to file. And if it's an older claim, you file it like a supplemental and it's not a new claim, it won't use that new intent to file. So that's a different system. So that's as it applies to new claims. But yes, and it doesn't hurt to just make sure you always have an intent to file in place. You can call 1-800-827-1000, ask them if you have an intent to file in place. If you don't, ask them to put one in place. And then write down that date somewhere. Make sure you have that documented, because sometimes you have to fight for that back pay date. I would say that's the back pay date is one of the things I see get messed up like most often. What is your experience on that, Aaron?
Yeah, based on the intent to file date, date of the submission, those are all things that we definitely deal with. The intent to file question is always my favorite question, because I think sometimes that we forget that if we don't submit a claim within that 12-month time frame, that as soon as that 12 months expires, that we don't have an active intent to file on record. Even though I'm 100% P&T, I always keep an active intent to file on record just in case there's something that needs to be submitted. But definitely recommend reaching out to that 1-800-827-1000 number, verifying if there's an active intent to file on record. You can also go on va.gov and check and see if there's one there as well. And if not, get one into the system. That way, you've got an effective date secured in the event that you do go to submit a claim, especially if you reach out and your coach identifies something for you that maybe you haven't thought of yet.
Nah. John Richard says, let them know it costs, but VACI doesn't touch any money that's there now. Only what rating you receive new. That's right. It's only the difference in your increase amount. And only if an increase happens, so it really is no risk to get a discovery call, reach out, sign up for a discovery call with one of our people that can help explain to you what VACI has to offer. We'll throw that link up there, right there. Get on a call with one of our great reps, and they'll tell you how the program works, what they can do for you, and you can determine if that's a fit for you. Or if you know you want to coach, you're ready to go, you're ready to rock, you're ready to get that rating that you morally, ethically, and legally deserve, you can use that link right there to get signed up for a coach. Get partnered with a coach who is going to help you identify and establish what you need to be successful, a strategy, some homework, and get knocking it out. There's the only thing standing between you and the rating you deserve is air and opportunity. And I'm using up all the air.
Yeah, John, congratulations, brother. I'm glad that the program was able to be successful for you. One thing I'll touch on here too is that, you get to utilize money that you weren't receiving prior to winning your claim to pay your invoice for the services that you received. So great statement there, John, to allow us to elaborate on that. Thank you.
Another great resource we have is military disability made easy. And it is my preferred way of studying the 38 CFR because it really does put it in kind of an everyday language, helps you understand it a lot better. I know, especially for studying the TBI system and secondaries and understanding how things relate and how it's rated and all that stuff. Military disability made easy is a phenomenal resource. Do you use MDMI?
I do. It's an amazing. It's amazing to be able to break things down into simple terms. The 38 CFR can be very confusing at times, and military disability made easy just really does make that a lot simpler. I feel like it's like the equivalent of the 38 CFR for Dummies type book or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a great, valuable resource that I use regularly, Donnie.
I I don't even like reading the regular 38 CFR now, which it's like those IKEA assembly instructions or something. You're like, where's the bolt? Does it go to this one and that one? Heck with it. Next time I'm just paying someone to assemble this thing. Hey, that's kind of what a coach does too, right? They assemble everything for you, so you don't have to read the instructions as deeply or um, get it assembled and realize that you still have half the hardware left over. And then you got to trick one of your kids to be the first one to sit in the chair, like, oh, just take a little seat and see how it is.
That's funny. I do just want to encourage our veterans that potentially, especially if you served in Iraq or Afghanistan, I know that they claim that there's about 18% of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan, post 9/11 that experienced a mild, at least mild TBI. Mild, moderate, severe, are the different ways that it can be there. And so this is where, again, get hit in the head, IED attack, something like that. Definitely make sure that you go get evaluated and treated. The 4 hours of cognitive testing was not fun to sit through, but it was definitely worth it to be able to, leave and know that after the evaluation that I had some answers to some things that I was dealing with and some doctors to help guide me in the right direction for some of these things that I would consider to be deficiencies that I deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah, for sure. And and Aaron's referring to the mild, moderate, and severe. One of the things they do is they use the Glasgow Coma scale to rate how bad your TBI was or the incident that caused the TBI. Um, it, One of the things that isn't necessarily understood is how, as Aaron's talking about, the accumulation of traumas to your brain over time. It's like a boxers or football players and stuff. There's not always necessarily just one incident. It's the culmination of incidents over time that your brain, the beating it's taking, that results in TBI and a lot of these secondary issues.
That's a great point. After my first one in service, I had a couple subsequent mild TBIs afterwards. And, that's when I started noticing some of the things like tinnitus and the migraines, headaches starting to kick in. And so, again, I think that for some of us that just suck it up, carry on, suffer in silence, we may not really consider some of these additional symptoms that could be secondary to. And so that's why I always recommend getting treated, getting those additional diagnoses if you have them.
Yeah, and there's something they're just now really finding called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, right? And I'm still learning about it. And there's just a whole bunch of things that you're not going to know about until you go and get seen and get treated, and have someone who is a professional and a neurologic expert help evaluate you. And that's the only way you're going to get connected and adequately rated as well, and improve your lifestyle.
Well, and you mentioned something, Donnie, Parkinson's disease, that's a separate rateable condition. And so, things like TBI, some of these symptoms that, some of us may not want to think are potentially associated with something else, we would definitely want to get evaluated to see if there's something else going on outside of just the TBI that we've sustained. And I only say that because, residuals can be long lasting, permanent, and they make may take years to manifest. And so some of these things may not come on initially. We may just see them years down the road.
Exactly. It might be years down the road, and if you're not looking for these things, if you haven't been in touch with a professional, you might not recognize them when they come. And they can just, it's not like just one day you have, dementia or Parkinson's. It's a little bit by a little bit, and until, then there's something really wrong and you didn't identify it right away.
Yeah, I remember when I was first getting evaluated and the doctor was asking me all types of questions about things. I thought I was articulating to the best of my ability what I was experiencing. And then they started asking me all these other poking and prodding questions, and I'm going, so maybe that's why. And that's why I say it was eye-opening for me, as a patient, to be able to learn to try to manage the additional symptoms and things like that. Because, I know that one thing they always told me was that some of these residual symptoms can potentially go away within 6 months after the initial incident. But I think, like you said, some of us forget that there are subsequent incidents after the initial TBI that can truly impact the severity of our symptoms there.
For sure. And I would just like to, to point out again, as we start to wrap this up, that there is it's invaluable in getting medical help. VA Claims Insiders is an invaluable resource in this as well. There's no really replacement for having someone who can help you navigate all these processes and not figure it out on your own. So again, I'm going to have those links under one more time. There's the link for the discovery call, so you can find out about the program itself. And you can get in, no hassle call, find out about the program, see what's going on, and make a decision there. If you know you want a coach, you can get signed up for a coach. Again, there is no charge unless you get the rating increase, right? So it's still a pretty risk-free situation. And at the end of the day, I know I personally, and I won't speak for Aaron, but I'm fairly certain he too, we just want you to get the help you deserve, the rating you deserve, the treatment you deserve. Every little bit of compensation increase and every little bit of treatment and stuff that you get makes you a better brother, sister, wife, husband, dad, mom. Every little bit makes you a better person, and it hopefully helps you to live a better and higher quality lifestyle, and then have that generational change to where your family can live a better and happier and higher quality lifestyle.
Donnie, the thing I love the most about this job is the life change that we help impart onto our clients. Like you said, it's how we become better people throughout the day, right? That makes us better in every aspect of our lives. I talk to so many veterans that don't even realize that some of these things that they're dealing with are medical conditions that are rateable conditions through the VA. And helping coach them through this process and helping them identify things, like you said, makes them better brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, family members, friends, coworkers. And that's what this is about. That's what this community is about. And that's why we have so many classes that we offer, is to help build such a good community that it makes it normal for us to come out and talk about these symptoms, these conditions. That way it's easier for us to get the VA benefits that we truly deserve.
Absolutely. Aaron, just like to say that in conclusion, our Kansas City Chiefs are back on top of the NFL, right?
Number one seed, baby.
We gotta feel that. We gotta get that love every now and then. It can be a tough sport out there, but I love you, brother. I'm glad thanks for coming out here and being here with me today. I always love doing Facebook Lives with you.
You as well, man.
To our insiders, to our veterans, thanks. We love you too. You guys make our world a better place because we get to do what we love to do, and that's serve veterans and change lives, just like Aaron said, change lives. Thank you all for coming out.
Don't forget to get signed up so we can help change your life. Absolutely. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.